Marine jokingly asked her rank. 3 generals stood up and saluted. So tell me, sweetheart, what's your rank? Or did they just send you to fetch coffee for the real Marines? The question cuts through the Pendleton briefing room like a blade scraping metal. Captain Derek Holloway delivers it with a performance smile, the kind of smile that invites everyone else in the room to join in, and 32 Marines do exactly that. A ripple of low laughter moves through the formation like a shockwave. Easy, predictable, comfortable. He's done this before. The room is a rectangle of controlled authority. Fluorescent light hums off polished concrete. The smell of gun oil and recycled air sits over everything like a second ceiling. 32 enlisted Marines stand in loose formation along the walls. Young faces, most of them. The kind that still believe rank means everything and appearances mean rank. At the front of the room, 3 training instructors hold clipboards they've stopped writing on. Near the equipment bay, 2 maintenance crew members have paused mid-task, wrenches in hand, watching. 43 people total, all of them witnesses. Holloway knows it. He chose this room for exactly that reason. He stands near the center console, arms crossed like he owns not just this base, but every square mile of Camp Pendleton, possibly the Pacific Ocean itself. His chest ribbons are a curated argument. 3 deployments, 2 commendations, 1 medal with a device that catches light when he shifts his weight. Which he does now, deliberately. His shadow falls across the equipment bench where she is working, right across her hands. She is 29 years old, according to her temporary credential badge. 5 feet 6. Regulation bun. Plain utilities with no rank insignia anywhere visible. No patches, no name tape beyond the standard last name strip that says only Reyes. She could be a contractor. She could be an administrative attachment from another command. She looks like someone who got turned around on her way to somewhere less important. She does not look up. Her hands continue moving over the disassembled components of an M110 sniper rifle laid across the equipment bench. Barrel, bolt carrier group, receiver, trigger assembly, each piece in precise relation to the others. Her wrists hold the components at an angle that range instructors spend years trying to teach. Most never get it exactly right. Her fingers maintain spacing that does not come from a training manual. Holloway steps closer. His boots crunch on the concrete. His shadow deepens. She picks up the bolt carrier group, checks the surface with her thumb, sets it back down. I said, "What's your rank, miss?" She looks up then. Her eyes are dark and entirely still. Not defiant, not afraid. Present in the way that scope-trained operators are present. Calibrated, accounting for variables, making no unnecessary movements. Higher than yours, sir. Her voice is quiet. Controlled like she's stating the weather. You just don't know it yet. She returns to the rifle. The laughter stops. Then starts again. Louder this time. The way laughter does when it's trying to convince itself. Holloway's jaw tightens for exactly half a second before the smile comes back. Wider than before. He turns to his formation, spreading his hands in a gesture that says, "Can you believe this?" And the room obliges him with more noise. From the corner near the secondary exit, a man named Master Gunnery Sergeant Earl Paxton watches all of it and does not laugh. He is 61 years old, 34 years in the United States Marine Corps, 18 of them in special operations. He has the kind of face that weather has worked on, not carved by drama, just worked on, steadily, over decades. He was supposed to leave 30 minutes ago. He is still here because of her hands. He noticed it when she first came in, the way she set down her bag, the way she assessed the room before she did anything else, not nervously, not obviously, just the systematic left-to-right sweep of someone trained to know exit count before anything else. And then her hands on the M110. That angle. That grip. He has seen that grip at 2 schools most people in this room don't know exist, and both times it was on operators who had already done things that would never appear in any public record. His pen stopped moving. He filed the picture. He is still filing it. By 1100, the story has a name. Coffee Girl. That's what the group chat calls her. The informal channel that runs between Holloway's Marines like a second nervous system. By 1130, the story has details that weren't in the original. She got flustered. She dropped something. She couldn't answer a basic equipment question. None of that happened. But the version that spreads is always the useful version. The version that confirms what people already wanted to believe. She eats lunch alone at the far end of the mess hall, at a table near the window. The food is institutional. Protein, starch, something green. She eats with the efficient joylessness of someone fueling machinery. While she eats, she watches. Which table defers to which? Who enters first? Who holds doors? Where the unofficial command structure runs beneath the official one, and where the two diverge. She has been on this base for 4 days. She has a map of both structures that no personnel file would have given her. Holloway finds reasons to cross her path twice more before 1400. Each time, a different audience. Each time, the diminutive rotates, Miss, then tech support girl, then in front of a group of trainees who are too young to know better, Princess. Each time, she answers with something that ends the exchange without giving him anything to use. 3 words. 4 words. Once. Just 2. At 1415, she accesses the base's primary authentication system for a scheduled diagnostic check. She inputs the monthly authentication code in 8 seconds. Most credentialed operators take 4 to 5 minutes. The system logs the timestamp. Nobody is watching the log. Nobody except Paxton, who happens to be in the adjacent room, reviewing maintenance records on a screen that shares a server feed. He sees the timestamp. He sees the code completion time. He sets down his coffee and looks at the wall between the 2 rooms for a long moment. Something about this woman. He cannot place it. But it is there, solidly, the way sent memory is there, not located, just present, impossible to dismiss. At 1620, Holloway makes his move. Not informal this time. Official. He submits a credential verification request through base security, citing concerns about unverified access levels in a sensitive equipment area. The request is procedurally correct. It will take approximately 48 hours to resolve through normal channels. She is notified by a base security officer at 1635. Her temporary access credential is suspended pending review. She is to report to the security office for a formal interview at 0800 the following morning. She reads the notification on a small government-issue tablet. Her breathing changes. 4 counts in, hold 4. 4 counts out, hold 4. She hands the tablet back to the security officer. Fine, she says. 1 word. She walks back to her temporary quarters. At 1712, she passes Paxton in a corridor near Building D. He does not stop walking. She does not stop walking. Neither of them looks at the other. But she is wearing a long-sleeve utility top, and her left sleeve has ridden up slightly at the forearm. Paxton sees it for approximately 2 seconds as she passes. A tattoo there, not decorative, not personal, heraldic. A trident crossed with a specific geometric device he has seen exactly once before on a classified personnel briefing 7 years ago, and never since. The mark of a unit that does not officially exist. He walks another 20 feet before his pace changes. He stops, turns, looks at the empty corridor behind him. Something about this woman. He can place it now. His jaw does something involuntary. His hand moves toward his phone. Then, stops. He thinks for 11 seconds, counting. Out of habit. Then, he puts his phone back in his pocket and walks on. The 0800 interview is held in a small room in the base security building. Concrete walls, a metal bench, a table that has seen better decades. A window near the ceiling shows a rectangle of early morning sky, pale and indifferent. The smell of disinfectant failing to cover something older sits in the corners. The room is meant to feel consequential. It succeeds. Holloway is not technically present. A security officer named Lieutenant Reyes, different command, unfortunate coincidence of names, conducts the interview. But Holloway arranged the time slot, the room, and the framing. Everyone in the building understands this. Her credential is on the table between them. Her temporary access badge. Her government-issued ID. What were you doing at 0500 on Tuesday? Lieutenant Reyes reads from a form. System diagnostics. Why at 0500? Light traffic. Better performance data. Your access level for that system is documented in the credential on the table. She folds her hands on the table. Her breathing is even. 4 in, hold 4, 4 out, hold 4. Her eyes are level and patient, and completely empty of anxiety. Lieutenant Reyes moves through 6 more questions. She answers each with the minimum number of words that constitutes a technically complete response. After the 3rd question, he begins writing faster, the way people write when they sense they are losing control of something they thought they understood. At 0843, her temporary credential is formally suspended pending the outcome of a full security investigation. She is restricted to her quarters and the mess hall until the matter resolves. A formal flag is placed on her personnel record. She nods once, stands, walks out. This is the near-fail moment. The point where anyone watching from the outside would think she's finished, caught, flagged, game over. Except games have rules, and she's about to show them they've been playing the wrong game entirely. In her quarters, a standard single room with a standard issue bed and a desk that wobbles on the left rear leg, she sits on the edge of the bed and looks at her watch. Military time, 0851. In 23 minutes, her check-in protocol expires. It has been set to auto-escalate if she misses it. Not just to her direct handler, but to a secondary contact who does not work in any branch of the regular military. That contact will begin asking questions that will reach people who do not normally make phone calls to Marine Corps bases. In 67 minutes, a background verification protocol she submitted before this assignment activates its 2nd phase, cross-referencing her operational history against a database that has a different access architecture than the one Holloway's security check is querying. That database does not return the information Holloway is expecting. It returns something else entirely. In approximately 3 hours, Captain Derek Holloway is going to learn the difference between the authority that appears on his service record and the authority that answers to no record at all. She looks at the watch on her wrist. Nobody thought to take it. That is how she planned this, 3 months ago, in a room in Washington with 2 people who report to no one she has ever been formally introduced to. She breathes. 4 in. Hold 4. 4. Out. Hold 4. She waits. The first crack comes quietly, as first cracks always do. At 0927, Master Gunnery Sergeant Earl Paxton walks into the base security building and requests a word with the duty officer. He is calm. He does not raise his voice. He says only that in his professional judgment, the individual currently under a credential hold may be above everyone's pay grade to hold. and that someone with authority to make a phone call should make one before this situation develops further complications. The duty officer asks on what basis he's making that assessment. Paxton says, 34 years. He walks out. The duty officer makes a call. Not to Holloway, to someone 2 levels above Holloway, as a precaution. That person, after a moment of silence on the phone that goes on longer than expected, makes another call. At 1003, 3 black SUVs arrive at the base's main gate. Not command vehicles. Not standard federal transport. The kind of vehicles that have no insignia and no plates that appear on any civilian registry. The kind of appearance that says this is official business at the highest level. 4 people get out. 2 in civilian clothes that cost more than most officers' monthly salaries. 2 in uniform, Army, not Marine Corps, which is already unusual. All 4 move with the unhurried certainty of people who are not uncertain about anything. Holloway hears about the vehicles at 1009. He does not know what they mean yet, but something in his chest changes temperature. At 1011, a base communications officer receives a request from outside the base's normal command chain. A data pull on the personnel file of the individual, listed under the name Reyes, temporary credential holder, currently on restricted movement pending security review. The response to that pull is not what the communications officer expected. She has been doing this job for 11 years, and she has never seen a clearance level like the one that comes back on this file. Her hands go still on the keyboard. She prints 1 page, carries it personally to the commanding officer's office, knocks twice. At 1024, Holloway is summoned. He does not know why yet. But his face, walking across the base, is doing something involuntary, cycling through confidence, and something beneath confidence, and something beneath that which does not have a clean name. The room they bring him to is the main briefing room. The same room where it started, yesterday morning, with 32 Marines and a joke about coffee. The room is different now. The 4 visitors from the SUVs are present. Base Commander Colonel Richard Hargrove stands near the far wall, arms at his sides, with the expression of a man who has received information he is still processing. 2 base legal officers sit at the conference table with folders open. Lieutenant Reyes from the security office is in the corner, very still. And at the front of the room, seated at the table, with her hands folded in front of her, is the woman they all called Coffee Girl. Her sleeve is rolled back to the forearm. Deliberate, the tattoo faces the room. Paxton is in the doorway. He does not come in. He watches. The most senior of the 4 visitors, the one in Army uniform with the stars on his collar, the one whose name Holloway does not recognize, because people at this level do not introduce themselves on Marine Corps bases without reason, looks at Holloway when he enters. Looks at him the way astronomers look at something through a telescope that is shifted where it shouldn't be. Then he looks at the tattoo. His hand goes rigid at his side. Holloway's blood runs cold. He does not know why yet. But his body knows before his mind does. Captain Holloway, the senior officer says. His voice is measured, quiet in the way that authority doesn't need volume. I need you to look at the tattoo on this individual's left forearm. Holloway looks. The trident, crossed with a geometric device. Clean black lines. The kind of precision that comes from someone who was not flinching when it was applied. He does not recognize it. But Colonel Hargrove does. Something flickers across Hargrove's face, just for a heartbeat, and then it is gone, replaced by a stillness that looks nothing like neutrality. For the record, the senior officer continues. This individual's full designation is Commander Elena Reyes, United States Naval Special Warfare Command, Code Gamma clearance, currently operating under classified orders originating from an office above the pay grade of everyone in this room, including myself. He pauses. Every person in this room, including myself, answers to her authority. The room detonates, not metaphorically. Actual audible gasps from multiple points in the room. Lieutenant Reyes in the corner, one of the legal officers. A Marine aide standing near the window. Someone drops a tablet. The clatter echoes like a gunshot in the stunned silence that follows. The ack hum suddenly seems deafening. A chair scrapes concrete. Someone's boot scuffs the tile. The small sounds fill the room because the room has nothing else in it. All the certainty that occupied it 20 seconds ago has simply evacuated, and the small sounds rush in to replace it. Colonel Hargrove raises his hand first. The salute is slow and precise. His right hand moves from his side to his brow in the particular angle of formal military respect. Clean edge, proper plane, sustained. The kind of salute that is not reflexive but chosen, held a beat longer than protocol requires. Because protocol is not what this is. One of the Army officers follows. Then the second. Then the civilian visitors, not a salute, but something adjacent. A stillness, a posture, an acknowledgement that registers on the same frequency. The legal officers come to their feet. Lieutenant Reyes comes to attention in the corner, face forward, hand sharp. The aide by the window salutes. 3 generals. 4 people in authority. Every uniformed individual in the room, one by one, standing at attention for the woman they spent yesterday calling Coffee Girl. Holloway does not move. Commander Reyes looks at him. Her expression does not change. She is not enjoying this. She is not savoring it. She is simply waiting, with the patience of someone who has waited for much larger things than this, for the institutional process to complete itself. Captain Holloway. Colonel Hargrove's voice is very quiet. You will render appropriate honors. Holloway's hand moves to his brow, slowly, like a machine that has run out of power and is completing its last cycle on momentum alone. His face goes through 5 things in the space of 2 seconds. Surprise, real, total, the kind that cannot be performed. Denial, equally real, the mind's last attempt at a different outcome. And then something that looks, without any theatrical quality whatsoever, like genuine fear, not theatrical fear. The specific fear of a man who has just understood the full weight of what he has done, and to whom, and why she was here in the first place. Commander Reyes nods once. Formal final, the formal inquiry takes 3 hours. The charges are institutional and specific. Obstruction of a federal undercover investigation, abuse of official process for personal harassment, and the one that carries real consequence. Interference with a classified operation under active Code Gamma authority. The kind of interference that does not resolve with a reprimand. The arrests, when they come, are quiet. 2 officers in addition to Holloway, men whose connection to the original crime Alina Reyes was investigating, becomes clear in the documentation she produces from the watch case. From the encrypted drive she handed to the Army officer when she arrived at the briefing room. Documents with classification stamps above the clearance of everyone who signs the paperwork. She does not watch the arrests. She is already thinking about the next phase. The investigation was never about Derek Holloway. He was a symptom. Loud, arrogant, structurally predictable. The kind of man who mistakes volume for authority and uses institutional process as a weapon because it is the only weapon he can reach. 3 years ago, on a base in the Pacific, a unit of Naval Special Warfare operators was betrayed. Their route was compromised. Their mission was burned before they deployed. 2 operators were killed in an engagement that should never have happened, on a night when only 4 people knew that route. One of those 4 people has a friend. That friend is stationed at Camp Pendleton. That friend has been routing intelligence through a channel that does not appear in any official record, using the informal network of a base where nobody thought to look, because nobody thought anyone worth looking for would bother with a place so obvious. She thought to look. They mocked her rank. They forgot she outranked their corruption. At 1847, the sky over Camp Pendleton runs orange into purple, into the dark blue that comes before real dark. She is sitting on the step outside the temporary quarters building, one building over from where she started. A different room, a different key, and her watch reads 1847 in the soft light. The Pacific is somewhere beyond the base perimeter. She can hear it, barely if she lets herself. She has a list. 7 names. When she started. 4 resolved, 2 in custody tonight, which leaves 3 more. 1 confirmed dead, which was a different kind of resolution, and 1 who has never appeared in any database she has accessed. Only in a single surveillance image from a rooftop in Latakia, Syria, time-stamped 4 years ago. A figure at a window. The right height. The right posture. The wrong country for someone who claims to have retired to Portland. She knows that posture. She filed it away 3 years ago at a memorial service for 2 men who should not have died, whose families received folded flags and no explanation, who deserve something she intends to provide before she is done. Justice isn't loud. It's patient. Paxton appears at the door behind her. He stands there for a moment without speaking, and she does not turn around. "I didn't tell anyone," he says, "when I saw it. The tattoo." "I know. Why didn't you show it?" "Right away." "Because I needed him to keep going," she says. "I needed him to make the call. File the verification request. Trigger the process that would pull my real file." She pauses. He had to do it himself. That's how it works. Paxton is quiet for a moment. 2 operators died, he says. "Yes, you knew them. It is not a question," but she answers it. "Yes," he nods. She can hear it. Somehow, without seeing it. "The name in Latakia," he says. "I might know someone who can help with that." She turns and looks at him then. For the first time today, something in her expression opens slightly. Not warmth, exactly, but recognition, the specific regard of one professional for another. "I'll find you in the morning," she says. He nods again, walks back inside. She turns back to the darkening sky. The orange is mostly gone now, purple deepening into something final. Her watch says 1851. She has a report to file in 6 hours before she sleeps, and 1 name on a list that still has no face. Tomorrow brings new ghosts to hunt. Every soldier carries a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVP Stories for more.